So here we are in Talbot, yet another small mining town, just about 40 miles north, 40 k's north of Ballarat. It's a lovely late summer's day, and Talbot is indeed a lovely, lovely, lovely town. Gold was first discovered here in 1851, about the same time as everywhere else in the area. And this is reflected in some of the grand public buildings we have. Very, very substantial, because reading up about it in the 1855 gold rush, nuggets of 160 ounces to 260 ounces were discovered, which is 5 to 8 kilos for a nugget, and holes yielding perhaps 7 kilos and a pound of gold have been recorded. And the result is we have some very, very grand buildings, and they have been left pretty much intact. We have the Courthouse Hotel. We're going to go for a bit of a walk. 3 grand buildings here. The Public Library, the Talbot Observatory. I don't know if you can see. We'll try and have a look through here. Over the back there. It actually even has its own functioning observatory. Who would credit that? Why out here in the country? The old courthouse, now a residence. Talbot Post Office, clearly still functioning. Erected between 1860 and 1877. And the Talbot Police Station was located behind the post office in Hill Street on the site of the early police camp, and comprises a building group of a lockup, a sub-treasury and a gold storage and stables. Talbot's group of modest government buildings are ranked as the most intact and significant in Australia. The second view, the police building, was taken about 1875. Original gas lamps, now converted to electricity. And the one thing probably most locals will realise is Talbot has a very popular farmers market. People come from wide and far, and they get up to about 1,000 people here. Don't come for me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the 3rd Sunday of every month. Former Stuart's resident. James Stewart was the first Shire President and Member of Parliament. Timber cottage built, dating from 1860. Magnificent, untouched examples of Australiana and Victoriana. Somebody loves their garden. Look at that. Even though we've had some sweltering days, that is just an oasis. So we have a Gothic primary school down the end, still functioning. We have a train station, which we'll go and look at. So, look at that. Doesn't get much more Australian than that. Pretty, almost untouched. Oh. Free windfall apples. It's not often you get. This is the community garden. Talbot Farmers Market, third Sunday of every month, 9 to 1. Can highly recommend it. Also love the fact that we have a sweeping curve of a main street. Everything seems to be closed today. So London Chartered Bank, Shire offices, Bank of Australasia, magnificent, iconic and significant. There we are. I'll look up and let you know what that's worth. Memorial playground. Swimming pool. Closed. Public loos. And every town has to have a bowls club. So look out across the, there we are, there's the highway. As you might have gathered, you can walk along the main street without fear of getting run over. Talbot, lovely, lovely little town. Come and visit. If you see this street on a farmer's market day, you'd hardly recognise it. Obviously the street's closed off and it's absolutely packed. We'll go have a look at the primary school and the train station. The cockatoos have quite a lot. I don't know whether it's me. They've got quite a lot to say for themselves. And I have to note, it says here, flowering border planted by eager Talbot kindergarten children, September and November 2024. And I must say it is doing brilliantly. And that's what we need to teach our kids. I don't want to get political, but learn to grow things. We've got, what have we got here? We've got some rhubarb over the back, we've got some strawberries. How are you? And that's what we need to do. We need to teach kids what it's all about. The joy of growing things, and even that. I don't know if many of you will realise the significance of that. That's water out for the bees. So you put a rock in the thing so that they don't drown. They do fall in, they can climb out and dry off and move on. Stand in the middle of the road. J.B. Edwards, watchmaker. Primary school. It's my humble opinion that for this section of Victoria, the goldfields, the plateau, we're up on a raised basalt plateau. Talbot's pretty much reflects the archetypal sleepy Australian town. But the good thing is, as you can see, it's in pristine condition. It's been left almost certainly untouched. There's a lot of Airbnbs. We've got the weather vane up the top. Sadly, the clock has seen better days. The locals aren't very impressed with me. the A&A Hall, still with its Christmas star up the top. And there's probably one or two. We have O'Hara Street, which was the best kept street in 1996. So, I don't want to be harsh, but I'm not seeing it. And pretty much in every Australian town, you have 3 or 4 components, absolutely essential places to have a town. You have to have a sports field, you have to have a bit of a town hall, a sports ground, possibly a library, but you also have to have a war memorial. And I won't look any further because there's a gentleman working. But this is the War Memorial Park. We have, nice to see it's being restored, upgraded. We have the grave markers for those who served. Women's RSL sub-branch and Talbot RSL sub-branch and Women's Auxiliary. It's one of the sad facts that as the wars decline into history, the RSLs and their members are no longer living. There are no World War I survivors in Australia. World War II survivors are few and far between. And even those who served in subsequent conflicts like Korea and Vietnam are getting older. So this is the Talbot, what they called the Primitive Methodist Church. For Primitive Methodists, no doubt. Now rebranded as the Talbot Museum. And it houses, as we read, communications collection, social history and genealogy collection, the Dunach State School, and hilariously an isolation ward from the AMHERST, which is nearby, hospital. So everywhere I look in this town, there are things I want to see and want to know more about. So it says this distinctive Romanesque designed bluestone church served a local population where more than half the workforce was involved in surface or deep lead underground mining. Church closed with declining population in the earlier 20th century and later became a clothing factory. In 1984, it was reopened as the Talbot Arts and Historical Museum as a focal point for the town's and district's history, of which there is much to be said. So there we have the state school. Opened in 1874 with 155 registered pupils. Enrolments dropped after the mines closed. The school continued until it was closed in late 1944. Maryborough Knitting Mills bought the former Talbot Primitive Methodist Church next door and set up as an annex where pre-cut garments were sewn and distributed. Transported here in 1974. And there's the crew, circa 1900. But the one that really takes my fancy is this. So unfortunately, if you had communicable disease, it would be off to the isolation hut, which is this. And you will note, I don't know if you can see in there, you're probably not. Basic does not describe it. And bad news is no glass, because one of the things that was considered to be curative was fresh air. And I'm mindful that it's all very well if you get sick in January or February. But if you're sick in midwinter up here, it does actually get and stay pretty brutally cold. So that is the AMHERST Hospital Isolation Unit. Dare I say, a little better than a well-ventilated shed. Off to the ISO unit with you. Nurse! And we have a relic. Now, across the road we have an old, you can just see, I can't even make out the first name, but used to be the butchers. It seems everybody in this town has a small dog as a burglar alarm. You can hear them everywhere I stop. So, another superb example of religious architecture. Sadly, long since discontinued. With a very interesting later architectural addition on the back. Looks like a residence. And no need of some structural support. No indication of what it was. And a bit of a cottage garden. Yeah. Some fruit trees. Some sadly struggling roses. Some what we call painted ladies. Would welcome a drink. Okay. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the stunning town of Talbot. If you're passing, it's literally about 500 metres off the main highway. So it's well worth stopping, even if it's not a market day. Stop, get yourself a coffee, have a break, give some money to the local economy, and if you don't, you might be missing an absolute treasure. Okay, on to the next one. So this is St Michael's All Angels, Church of England in Talbot, built in 1871. It was opened for divine service on Trinity Sunday in June 1871, replacing the earlier 1862 church in Argyle Street. Simple architectural design using Gothic elements in free manner. It has a weatherboard vestry of contemporary date. The original sloping pews exist inside. While the nave was completed, a proposed stone spire was never finished. Unfortunately, it's closed. So, good old, what Australians would call bluestone. It's actually locally mined black volcanic basalt. Superb. Try and get a better view. Absolutely lovely. Later addition out the back. The old bell. I wonder if there was ever a stained glass window. Clearly there was one planned. I don't know whether it was ever executed, was later bricked up. So I'm attracted by some of the architecture over there. Those spires interest me. So we'll go and have a look at that.